Now, I know a lot of the new releases this year are a lot of directorial debuts, but today, do you guys want to talk about a debut, or do you want to talk about a f***ing debut? Hey there guys, how are you? And welcome back to my Christopher Nolan series on the channel. We are getting so very close to the release of Tenet, I can almost taste it. But today we are going to be looking at Christopher Nolan's directorial debut from the Criterion Collection, Following, released in 1999. This movie is about a young man who takes into a hobby of following strangers in the streets. It's not because he's a bad person or a serial killer or anything, but he's a writer looking for inspiration into the characters he's creating. But when one guy catches him being followed one day, he asks him, hey, what do you think about taking this little hobby one step further? By following people inside their homes, looking inside their houses, breaking and entering. And hence, we have a very tense thriller. Before I get further into this review, guys, I want to thank you all so much for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoy your stay. If any of you guys are new here, I need you guys to hit that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can so you don't miss any of my future videos. And also, please make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video by the end if you enjoyed it. But with the housekeeping out of the way, let's talk about Following. Very, very interesting film, for sure. Now, a lot of people might be wondering at this point, Zach, why did it take you until this deep in the Nolan series to review his first feature? Well, number one, my channel, my choice. And number two, to be quite honest, before this review and before I had to watch it for this review, I'd never seen it before. So the reason why the Following review is this late into the series is because I really wanted to take the time to examine this movie for the purposes of this review. And I was very surprised to find out that the runtime was only 70 minutes long. This is a very easy film to sit through. It flies by. And for the time we're given, I was extremely invested. This is an extremely remarkable debut in cinema history. You could tell this was a really bare bones production. Christopher Nolan was going to his personal friends to be actors in this movie, and Nolan apparently could only shoot this movie on the weekends to fit with his friends' schedules. So for that reason, it took him quite a while to complete this production. And on top of all that, he was also working with only a $6,000 budget. Apparently, the film was designed to look this way as inexpensive as possible. It was shot on 16mm film, and it's all in black and white. And also, with as small of a budget as he had, Nolan didn't exactly have the funds to acquire the proper lighting equipment for this set. So a lot of the time, he would just rely on natural lighting. And I gotta really admire Following. Despite all of those hurdles, this is a really, really remarkable feature. Again, considering the limitations, this is a damn special debut here. Aside from this huge accomplishment for Nolan, my biggest praise for this movie is actually the premise and the story. This whole premise feels like a very familiar situation. Going to school for theater myself, I have had a couple of professors who have told me to try out this exercise. Not necessarily following people, but just kind of observing them. If I'm just sitting on public transit, if I look across the way, like observe people's behavior necessarily. This is sounding really, really strange the deeper I get into this, but basically, I'll just leave it at this. These exercises went nowhere near the extremes of Following. I don't think I need to really tell you in depth of how good these performances are. I don't really need to tell you in depth how amazing Christopher Nolan's direction is. I don't even really need to tell you about the screenplay. All these elements put together, I think, speak much more volumes for themselves rather than I ever could. Because this movie is very simple. It's all about the moments. It's all about those beat shifts. And these actors freaking nailed it. And likewise, Christopher Nolan in his debut for sure nailed it. Critics back in the year 1999 hailed Christopher Nolan as one of the biggest rising stars in the cinema industry. At least one of them had to be Nostradamus, because they were absolutely right. He would go on after Following to create a bunch of instant classics that I've already talked about on this channel. Memento, The Prestige, the Dark Knight trilogy. This was just a little taste of what Christopher Nolan was capable of. And much like pretty much all of his films, extremely investing story. And also, this is just a mild spoiler while speaking about story. For those of you who have never seen Following, I should warn you that this movie is very similar in structure to Memento. This is a story that's pretty much told in the non-linear form. But unlike Memento, this non-linear form is a lot more subtle. And it's not handled as cleanly as it is in Memento. You could clearly see where Nolan was going with this idea, and with Memento, he clearly mastered this style of storytelling. But you could see he was right on the cusp here. He was onto something. And like I mentioned, this entire film is shot in black and white, whereas Memento, half of the film is shot in black and white. But you can tell these time shifts are there because the main character's hair length continuously gets longer and shorter, going back and forth that way. And I think that's a really neat idea, even though it wasn't handled as swiftly as Memento with these little time lapses and these time jumps. It took me a little bit to get used to, but eventually I did, and I honestly really enjoyed this movie. And also, like I brought up early, the movie's only 70 minutes, so it's a very easy watch. But thinking about it a little bit more, considering this story, I feel like 70 minutes was a little bit too short. I kind of wanted a little bit more time with these characters. I feel like the ending came very abruptly, kind of out of nowhere, and it left me desiring just a little bit more. But in short, I'm still very fascinated by Following. I can't wait to examine it more and more. It's definitely a product of love for the craft, and I gotta commend the dedication of everyone involved with this project. I'm gonna give Following a B+. This is a very remarkable debut considering the hurdles that Christopher Nolan had to jump over. And it's also a very special one considering, of course, where Christopher Nolan's career is right now. I definitely recommend checking this one out. Obviously, I bought the Criterion for it on the sale, so that's how I watched it. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to watch it right now. It's available everywhere. Definitely recommend it. But what do you guys think of Following? Have you guys seen it? What do you guys think about it? I'd like to know all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. As you all know, I am always game to talk movies with you guys. And I want to thank you all so much for tuning into this video once again. Be sure to leave a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can so you don't miss any of my future videos. You guys are awesome. Seriously. Look forward to more fun content coming up on this channel very soon. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.